Hi again, folks, and thank you for your visit to this your channel, Transmission Lines Engineering TV. In this video, we'll talk about the objectives of this channel, whom it is addressed, how it will benefit the audience, its limitations, as well as the global needs in terms of transmission lines. So, let's start with the objectives. Why this channel was born? Well, later, we'll see a video talking about the history of transmission lines, but by the moment, I'll tell you that transmission lines is in fact an industry that has just emerged from its childhood and has just turned into a teenager. Precisely because it is a teenager, it suffers from many things. That is, transmission lines have only 140 years of history. We're talking about a little bit over of a couple generations that, in historical terms, it's nothing. Many of the existing lines around the world are very old infrastructures built with codes that are obsolete for today's needs. On many occasions, these lines have far exceeded their service life, and like anything in life, it evolves, and the criteria, design practices, and construction of transmission lines also evolve. Let's remember that it's not the same how they have designed a line in the 1950s rather than the 21st century, simply because global weather conditions are not the same. Wind speeds and frequency, ice accumulations, load transmitted, etc., they have changed and increased. Personally, I have worked here in Canada with lines that date back to 1930s. Just imagine that. To me, it's like handling a beautiful large-scale piece of museum, because they are infrastructures that could be enclosed into an exhibition case. It turns out that we're in the 21st century and many lines are approaching up to 80 years of service or more. This is really unbelievable. I could also call it as an injustice. The most incredible thing is that they still work. But the big deal here is that we don't know for how much longer. These infrastructures are a time bomb that need and deserve a break, and especially our thanks for so many years of service. In the 21st century, the reconstruction of many lines around the world is imperative, but the engineers who in those days designed and built these lines was a small group of people who lacked few information on how to design lines. And even in the internet, it's not easy to find it, and therefore the number of technicians with the necessary knowledge to design this type of projects is very small, and the amount of work due to the installed load demands exceeds the capacity of the transmission systems currently in operation. Now, talking about repowering the transmission line, in my very own opinion, it's not always the best option, because we're talking about increasing the transmitted load that leads to bigger and heavier cables, higher mechanical tensions on the structures, and at the end of the day, replacing these structures with stronger ones. Another objective is to make available in YouTube and on my website useful technical information for the design of transmission lines, as well as to promote specialized training services to enterprises and online courses for overhead transmission lines design, underground lines, and later more specialized courses for gas transmission lines in SF6 or GIL, as well as encapsulated substations. Assist those who already have a career in this discipline, attract young people to be interested in this industry, and in that way increase the number of technicians specialized in transmission lines, because I have to tell you that this is a very, very specialized and little spread profession. Now, to listen and learn about the topics in this channel, it's not really necessary to have previous experience in transmission lines. The only requirement here is have the desire to learn, self-determination, and the desire to make a heroic work that benefits the world and the generations to come. Maybe we hear about the line engineer with enough experience but is facing the challenge for the first time to install a fiber optic cable, for example, and don't know where to start or know the engineering to be developed, where and how to locate the optical splice boxes, how to technically evaluate the materials to be used, how to develop a document that clearly explains the construction staff where to place these boxes and their accessories, as well as to identify the OPG cable reels and avoid being changed from their design position and eliminate unnecessary last-minute changes, or possibly someone have to make an installation study of interface spacers and don't have an idea how they look like, how they function, which suppliers to contact, what information does the manufacturer requires for the prepared study, and the information, drawings, technical sheets, assembly instructions, etc. that must be developed for the proper installation on site. It might also be that someone needs to design for the first time an underground transition pole and don't have a guide on how to start or knowledge of how to handle underground cables to size the splice chambers. Myself, I have never designed a tower with a heliport integrated in the upper section of it, and nevertheless, I have seen pictures of some towers around the world with these kind of attachments. Or for you who are a student and want to work in this industry, and you attend to a job interview for the first time, and they ask you, what kind of experience do you have in transmission lines? You can answer them, I have never worked in transmission lines, but at least I have studied the subject and I know what it is all about. I don't know how to use the software, but at least I know its name and its existence. What is it for and what to expect from it. I know the documentation that I have to develop, and I know the phase what I'm going to encounter. So this is better than having nothing. It will help you to learn faster and have a better efficiency in your first job as designer. So this way of thinking prior to an employment interview will give you the weapons to call out the attention from a potential employer and get your first opportunity, because if there's something that employees are attracted from a candidate, is your willingness to work hard and venture into the unknown. Another benefit is to exchange experiences. Even though I have more than 2 decades working in this industry, there will be surely people around the world who have had experiences that I haven't. Other benefits is to expand the knowledge of transmission lines in order to increase the number of specialists and help the nations to meet their very particular needs in their respective transmission systems. Now, channel limitations. Let's talk about what will be learned and what will not be learned in this channel. So I'll start with what will not be covered in this channel, at least by the moment. Maybe some people with time of experience in this discipline will come up to their minds the name PLS-CAT. PLS-CAT, effectively, it is the most used software in the world for the design of transmission lines. It is a software developed by the company Powerline Systems in Madison, Wisconsin, in the United States, and founded by Mr. Alain Perrot in 1984. So, since Powerline Systems is the owner of the software, I cannot include videos of this software. So, I hope in future can do it. Another topic that will not be covered in this channel is project management. That is, the function developed by a project manager. This channel is oriented to purely technical topics, but not to financial administration or procurement of materials, purchase processes, contracts for materials purchase, strategies for negotiations with contractors, writing scope of works, negotiations with unions, unit price analysis, budget development, etc. These are topics that are beyond the scope of this channel. Again, this channel is completely technical, and its relationship and interaction with the different disciplines in the project. Now, let's talk about what will be covered in this channel. The importance of knowing the basic design theory. Even when we are in the computer age, it is necessary and mandatory to know where it comes from and how the general design theory works to make sure that the results obtained by the software systems are correct and not just depend on a click. What I mean is that it is necessary to know what's behind the click. This is the core point of this channel. Revive the basic design theory of a transmission line, because in my journey through this industry, this is the biggest lack that I have identified, and this is the reason for being of this channel and the purpose of the company that I have founded. Prevent that this knowledge disappears and on the contrary expands. We will identify the participating disciplines in a transmission line project and their interaction between them. On the other hand, the identification of the documentation to be developed and its way of being stored in the computers to have a good control of the information. It's all about generating a culture of good organization of storage of information in our computers and not just throw everything into the W drive. Now, every good project starts with a good master list of documents to be developed. This crucial topic will be covered before starting with any technical topic. We will also discuss the design sequence of a transmission line, as well as its interaction with other disciplines such as purchases and construction. As well, the objective of a transmission line is to carry electric power from one place to another. That's simple. But the terms used for its operation are not mechanical, but completely electrical. Many designers don't have an electrical knowledge. They can have a civil or mechanical background, so when they hear the terms volts, amps, watts, ohms, losses, impedances, inductances, capacitances, power factor, etc., they don't have, let's say, a tangible vision what this means. So I think it's necessary that any designer, regardless of their background, must know at least the basics, what these parameters mean. Maybe they won't use them in life, but it's like the car insurance. It's better to have it than not need it, rather than need it and not have it. Later, we'll get into the subject matter. We will talk about different topics in sequential order for the development of a transmission line project. We will talk about topics like alignment definition, catenary calculation, plan and profile drawings, departures and arrivals in substations connections, phasing, very important topic, phasing transposition, structure list, bill of materials, electrical gaps in the structures, hardware assemblies, grounding, many people leave it at the end, but this is the most important part, crossings, optical fiber engineering, self-supported structures, steel pole structures, sag and tension calculations, underground lines engineering, among many other topics and those that you suggest me. In my website, highly specialized online courses are available for you in deep detail for each of the topics. I leave you up here. It's a card, which is a link to my website. Now, global challenges in terms of transmission lines. With the aforementioned, we can have an idea of the importance of this industry and the delicate role it plays in the development of the modern world as we know it. Without electricity, there's simply no movement. That's simple. So, the world is in a threshold in which the infrastructures are beginning to fail and go out of service, what we call as a blackouts. Not because of a wrong operation of the system, but for the simple reason that they are very tired. And this is the failure due to materials fatigue. In other words, many transmission lines and substations as well are in their old age, and it's not long to die. Once we are born, our growth begins, or in other words, we evolve and never stop evolving. Transmission lines are not the exception, and they also evolve. We, as liners, we see how they have grown. Even the type of steel has evolved. The materials, the design techniques have also evolved and will not stop evolving. The transmission lines, like any of us, have a great history, even to take it to a documentary. This is a technology born from a bitter rivalry at the end of the 19th century, and I consider fair and necessary to know its history so all of us can have electricity at home nowadays. So basically, this video was to give you a very general overview of the objectives and scope of this channel. Additionally, I invite you to visit my website, where personalized training services are offered to enterprises and educational institutions whose instructor is myself, as well as online training courses in deep detail and high quality of technical content and presentation, which is available for different levels, beginner and advanced, for overhead lines, and eventually for underground lines in SF6 gas, which is a technology with a long time in the market and is pushing forward day by day, and substations in SF6 gas, as well as other courses for scope of work writing, site visits, and its evaluation for the development of pre-engineering for bits. So, thank you very much for your company. I hope to continue having your visit. I invite you to subscribe and leave me your comments and likes. So, until next video. Transmission Lines Engineering TV, training to power the world.